statement is evidence in a federal copyright infringement lawsuit between Bob Dylan and James Damiano, also identified as Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs. This video is directed to the managing partners of the law firm of Gibson Dunn, Barbara Becker, Trey Cox, and Oren Snyder, regarding the massive amount of fraud they have committed while representing Bob Dylan. Dear Ms. Becker, Mr. Cox, and Oren Snyder, this is my second request to you concerning information regarding my question about when I could expect payment of the $25 million for your law firm's uncontested and documented fraud upon the court. Please find this statement of charges due upon request for the substantiated and verified fraud upon the court and corruption committed by your law firm and in association with Oren Snyder, the James Damiano versus Bob Dylan for copyright infringement litigation. The amount billed and due to be paid is $25 million. This statement includes all said corruption, including your firm's defamation of Mr. Damiano to the public, that has been substantiated and documented to the record of the court. This invoice also encompasses and includes your firm's refusal to return James Damiano's songs produced during discovery, 25 years of writing. There were no less than 20 boxes filled with anywhere from 200 to 350 finished and unfinished songs in each box. 27 years of writing that were never returned. Said statement of charges will relieve you and your firm of all malfeasance regarding Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs. It will also relieve you and your firm's failure to return all of James Damiano's musical and lyrical materials that were produced to your firm during discovery. For review regarding and including 11 years of produced songs to Bob Dylan's private P.O. Box, Columbia Records, CBS Sony, John Hammond Sr., Mikey Harris, Anthony Tiller, Elliot Mintz, Tom Masters, Mike Reed, Richard Fernandez, and Jeff Kramer, and also including attorneys Oren Snyder and Stephen Kramer. James Damiano's copyright infringement lawsuit against Bob Dylan substantiates, through the record of the court, the fraud committed by Bob Dylan's lead attorney, Oren Snyder of Gibson Dunn, and Stephen D. Johnson of Gibbons, and the United States Federal District Court. On February 6, 2012, an investigation into the fraud committed in James Damiano's lawsuit against Bob Dylan was opened by the United States Attorney General. The file number is Department of Justice file number 2452370. The file remains open. Please note, regarding James Damiano's 11-year affiliation with Bob Dylan, John Hammond, Mikey Harris, Elliot Mintz, and all other associates of Bob Dylan, James Damiano chose not to tell Bob Dylan that he would have to wait 23 weeks for any new songs that Mr. Damiano had written, and that he would have to copyright the song before submitting it to Dylan. Instead, James trusted Dylan and produced many songs over the period of 11 years that Dylan had recorded and released on his albums. The only songs that Mr. Damiano had listed in the lawsuit were songs he had registered for copyright with the Library of Congress. Mr. Snyder has been powerless and ineffective in containing his and Dylan's fraud upon the court to the public, and has severely impaired and damaged Bob Dylan's reputation. While Damiano has been undeterred, Snyder's fraudulent defensive and offensive legal efforts, along with the court's illicit 25-year after-the-fact litigation federal gag order against Damiano, have only brought massive attention to Bob Dylan's long documented history of stealing songs and especially melodies. The mere existence of this press release, along with the fact that it can be emailed to 200 attorneys at any given law firm with the click of the mouse, titled Bob Dylan's Stealing of James Damiano's Songs, begs the question of who actually won the James Damiano-Bob Dylan lawsuit. It's a shame Gibson Dunn's chair, Barbara Becker, Trey Cox, and co-chair Orrin Snyder can't comprehend this very simple, basic concept. This case not ever being permitted to be heard by a jury may have fooled some of the public, but I assure you, not everyone has been fooled, and much of the public is learning that, as per the record of the court, Judge Simandl's final opinion was in no way consistent with the facts of the case. Not at all. Most people know that it doesn't take a genius to know that if one word in this statement were untrue, Dylan could file criminal charges against Damiano. Most people know that if someone publicly states that Bob Dylan stole their songs and was unable to provide proof of that statement, then Dylan, after spending millions of dollars on a lawsuit, will be able to file criminal charges against the person making the claims. Both you and I know, Miss Becker and Mr. Cox and Mr. Snyder, that never happened. Dylan's only defense was to have federal magistrate Judge Joe B. Rosen rule in favor of Bob Dylan on a confidentiality order that designated all discovery materials that were produced in this litigation to be confidential. In other words, a gag order. Bob Dylan's lead attorney, Orrin Snyder, and the United States Federal District Court intentionally designed a judicial ploy to nefariously conceal the fact that Bob Dylan had no defense in Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs. Dylan's plan was effective for over 27 years and deterred movie and streaming publishers from producing James Damiano's movie 11 Years, Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs. It also deterred book publishers from publishing James Damiano's book 11 Years. And, in the meantime, keeping all of James Damiano's songs. Even after James Damiano's attorney, Robert Church, wrote a letter to Orrin Snyder requesting the songs back in 2009. Orrin Snyder still hasn't responded. And it's the year 2025.